roasted air-fried turkey breast fillet. And this is a cool way to do the traditional turkey. You know, everybody's hooked on the fried turkey idea, but there's so many different ways that you can actually cook a turkey besides just deep frying it or even throwing it in the oven. And like if you wanted to do, if you had a big enough air fryer, I got that little black one right there. If you wanted to air fry your whole turkey, you can actually split it into pieces, like cut the legs, the thighs, the wings off, cut the breast, and you can air fry it individually in your air fryer. And it'll cook it'll actually be faster than you having to cook it for 5 hours. And you know, it gets super tough and the breast is like super gummy, and then you got the legs, you don't know if they're done or not. So it's just a simpler process, I want to say. So what I did was I just found some turkey breast fillets at the grocery store. And this is ideal for folks that maybe are gonna have 2 people at home. I wouldn't suggest you to do this if you're gonna have a whole bunch of people because it can get really expensive. If anything, like I said, get the whole turkey, cut it down in half, and then air fry that piece individually. Don't do the fillets because these fillets are pricey right now. And turkeys are kind of scarce right now. If you guys haven't recognized it, they're having a shortage of turkeys right now. So you better get them while you can. Question? This one is an herb seasoning. It has like poultry in there, it has thyme in there, rosemary, I think oregano, and parsley in there. I got this one from Sprouts. They have a lot of good like fresh seasoning that they sell like in their meat area that I always suggest to get those. So what I'm gonna do is after I seasoned it, I would say marinate these for at least overnight is best, just because turkey has a thing kind of like chicken where whatever you marinate it in, it'll pick up that flavor. So if you do it overnight, you don't have to worry about putting too much salt or too much seasoning, and you can just literally take it out of the Ziploc or wherever and put it right in your air fryer or in your oven. So I'm gonna put it into our air fryer now. So we'll cook that for a good maybe 13 minutes at the most. It should cook pretty fast. If you were going to do like a whole turkey breast, I would say cook that one for at least 15 to 20 minutes. Because like I said, the air fryer cooks it really, really fast. And the last thing that you want, and I think the last thing that your family wants, is a dry turkey. No one likes that. Question?
What temp are you using?
That one I put it at 375. Now, if you did a whole turkey breast, I would say cook it at 350 and check it just to make sure that it's like how you want it. Because I think that if you try to cook it at like 400, you might overcook it. Now, if you're gonna throw like a leg in there or like a turkey thigh or something, definitely I would say put it at about 400 and cook it for a good 15 minutes. And like I said, always just check it and make sure. So on the other part's gonna go with this, I'm gonna do a sweet potato mash. Instead of doing like mashed potatoes, I use sweet potatoes. And I'm gonna use coconut milk inside there. Just a great way of just doing something a little bit different, and it's not as healthy. It's more healthier. You know, I'm always trying to throw butter to something. Like it is what it is. But coconut milk doesn't have a strong flavor. I would say that's one of the plant milks that I would say that it does not have a coconut flavor. You don't have to worry about tasting it if you don't like the taste of coconut. I don't mind coconut, but some people are like scared of it. But coconut milk is one of those things where the flavor is not as strong as like an almond milk or even a soy milk. Which soy milk is not always the best option. Just be careful with that. You know what I mean? Question?
Why is it not always the best option?
Say it again?
Why is it always not the best option?
Because soy itself, hold on one second. So when they do the whole process with soybeans, and the way that they process them is not always good for the health, especially for men. It actually increases your estrogen level, so you got to be careful with it. You don't want that happening. But it's also, from what I hear, is that all the chemicals and additives, kind of like almond milk, it takes away from the benefits of like if you had a soybean or if you made the soy milk yourself. Same with almond milk. Almond milk in the store, it's good, but I always tell people buy the almond milk presser yourself and make it at home yourself and compare the two and just see how it makes you feel, see how it tastes. you're gonna see a big, big difference in the overall flavor and also the way it makes you feel. I mean, I've read some crazy stuff online, and you know, you gotta always be careful with that, where they said they put arsenic in soy milk. So I don't know how true that is. I'm not a scientist, but I've heard it before that's a thing. So I don't think none of us want to put arsenic in our bodies. So after, we also have green beans on the menu, and I'm also going to show you guys how to make a homemade cranberry sauce. Which for me, I just don't like the canned cranberry sauce. I kind of just got bored with it because it just became, I've been eating it all my life, and my family, it's like we like it, but we don't like it like that. But when I made this one, where I used like fresh cranberries, orange juice, and I kind of like just did my own thing with it, my family went crazy off of it because it was just like, it just gave it a different kind of taste. And it's not as sweet, and it's not as like sour, because that other cranberry juice, the canned one that we get, it has so much, what do you call it, like corn starch inside of it, to make it, to give it that gummy flavor. And it's like, why not want to cook, especially Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is supposed to be food, they're supposed to cook a long time. My mom is probably prepping right now for Thanksgiving, to be honest. And most moms do, they start weeks in advance because it's supposed to be something that's a long process, that's not just quick and easy. I know some of the people that are ordering food from me for Thanksgiving, they were telling me that they were going to go to Boston Market and they were going to go to all these other places to get Thanksgiving meal because they said they don't have the time to do it themselves. And I'm like, well, that's the whole point of Thanksgiving, is that you have to take the time to cook the food. It's like a whole celebration. So what I did was I took the fresh cranberries, I put some orange juice inside of there, then I'm going to put a little bit of orange zest inside there. And you have the option if you wanted to add extra sugar in it, it's up to you. I don't always suggest that because sometimes with the orange juice, you don't know how much sugar context is already in there. And so you don't want to make it overly sweet because then you might as well just buy the canned one because it's doing the same thing. It's doing the same thing. So with the orange zest, it just, I don't know what this flavor does, and to be honest with you, I made this the first time when I was 17 years old at home, and it was just because I like oranges and then I like cranberries, and one day I just said, what would happen if I just mixed them together? And what it did was, it made a mixture that was amazing. Because one thing about cranberry sauce is that cranberries are naturally really, really bitter. And I think the orange juice kind of plays as that thing to kind of break it down a little bit. And the acid kind of brings up the natural sugar to where it's not as bitter as it would be if you were just to have cranberries with just some water and boil in it. I would suggest that. Add a little bit of flavor to it. So we're gonna go ahead and let that boil. And you'll see that once it starts boiling, it's gonna become the consistency of the one that I have over there for you guys, that you guys are gonna be able to try later on. It's gonna turn into this gelatin kind of mixture. So while we wait on that, what are you guys' plans for Thanksgiving? What you guys got going on?
Well, he makes the turkey.
Okay. What kind of turkey is he doing?
I don't know. Maybe organic. I make pies.
Okay. What kind of pies?
Peach from our tree.
Ah, okay, yeah. I got a peach cranberry cobbler over here for you guys today. Just a little something that I just threw together, you know, and it's a little warm, just a little warm. We can talk later, I got you, I'll send the menu.
You said it was going to make its own kind of like gelatin?
Yeah, so normally what I like to do is I like to put a little bit of sugar in there just to do that. But for this one, I'm going to try to see what it does with just the orange juice. Because I tried it with this one. And if you see from this mixture, without adding any kind of cornstarch or anything like that, it literally turned into like this jelly-like consistency, almost like cranberry, like the canned one. But I actually made that one homemade. So we'll see how this one turns out, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna do the same thing. That's how cooking is. You gotta kind of hit your head, cut yourself, and keep going. I think my mom was really good at having her poker face on because she would act like she did not make any mistakes and that I would be in the kitchen watching her. I'm like, what is going on with this lady? Then when my aunts would come over, they would all be in the kitchen cooking. No mistakes were made. Everything came out perfect. And I'm like, what's going on? Then when I got into the kitchen, I was cutting myself, burning myself. I mean, going through it. And I'm like, I never knew this was a thing because the people in my family made it look like simple. But, you know, that's just the poker face that mamas like to put on like they don't go for nothing. So what I did was I sliced up a little bit of onions and a little bit of celery, and I'm gonna add that towards the end of this process, just so that it has a little bit of flavor, just because the cool thing about when you roast a turkey in the oven, that roast creates that nice little, you know, the fat and the gravy in there with the onions and celery. And you can make your own gravy if you wanted to, but just to kind of give you the texture of the onions and the celery still in the turkey. Yeah, these look good. I'm gonna just put that right on top and let that kind of finish for like another 3 or 4 minutes. Now let's check on this real quick. So our sweet potato, our mashed sweet potatoes, what you want to do, the difference with when you cook a sweet potato and a regular potato is that sometimes with the sweet potatoes, they have more water in them, or not say less starch, so they don't take too long to boil, and they're going to break down faster. So you don't want to boil them for too long, because then you'll just get a mush and you won't get that creamy consistency. Grab one of these real quick. So what else do you guys have planned for the holidays?
Our school closed 1 week, so
I know y'all agree with that, man. 'Cause my nephew he just turned 15, and boy, I'm ready to fight him. It's just like, you know, that little attitude is different. That little attitude is different. I had to ask my mom, I said, well, was I that bad when I was his age, or is this just like something that I missed? And she said, no, you weren't that bad. I said, okay, so if I hit him, I'm justified in it. You know what I mean? And I tell him all the time, I'm like, listen, bro, one day I'm gonna like push you into a room, turn the lights off, and I'm just gonna beat you up, and then go out the room and act like nothing happened. Here we go.
Not just the boys, too, the girls.
Oh, let's not even talk about my niece.
Well, we were talking about the kids are a little wild instead of being depressing.
Yeah, that mouth and the opinions. I don't know how y'all do it. That's why I enjoy coming here and giving y'all some kind of light, because I know y'all be in darkness dealing with the kids. I know you do. Because, man, my niece and my nephews are like, I got an 8-year-old niece. I promise you she's 17 or 18, the way she's a piece of work. She's like the only Aquarius in our family. And so she's a little alien of the bunch. And she just doesn't care. I mean, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, she's gonna have her opinion, and you can like it, you can love it, but she's gonna have it.
And I think COVID set back their maturity like a couple of years. So they're in these grown bodies, but they're still acting like they're
kids.
3-4 years younger than they are.
Yeah, it's a trip. It's a trip. And I know, like, even as like adults, for us, I would say that, like, it seems like everything around us is almost trying to take away our hope that things are going to get better. It's like you watch the news, you go on social media, it's like something else you hear, this and that. So as adults, we know, because we've had life, so we've had to go through some stuff. We've survived some stuff. But as a 15-year-old kid, they haven't been through nothing. And they're taking everything even harder. And the only way that they know how to do it is take it out on the people closest to them. And so you guys are going to get the worst, probably worse than their parents. Because they're like, well, I'm only with them for a few hours. I can go back home. That's why I said I don't know if I could be a teacher. It would probably end in my first month or so. Because that's just not my thing. I come from a whole different world.
And then if you're a teacher who's a parent, you get 2 of them.
I can only imagine. So this is going to act weird today, but we're going to get through it. So the next thing on our menu is that we're going to cook off some green beans. And whenever I do anything like a green bean, a broccoli, what else? a broccolini, Brussels sprout. I always like to do either like a lemon pepper and like a lemon zest on top of it, or even asparagus, because it kind of brings out the flavor. And one thing I like to try to avoid when it comes to vegetables is not using as much salt. I like to try to bring out as much of its natural flavor. So using like a citrus on top of that kind of brings out that flavor of the just that natural citrus. It's almost like if you put a lemon on a piece of chicken or a piece of salmon. It's gonna add that flavor because it's gonna kind of play with your taste buds a little bit. And you always want to do like the lemon zest or the orange juice after you cook it, like towards the end, not in the cooking process, because sometimes when you cook acids or things like that too long, they become bitter and they kind of take away from the pleasure of you actually enjoying that little zesty flavor that's on the vegetable. So what I'm gonna do with the green beans, I'm gonna put some lemon pepper on top of it, and I'm gonna finish it off with the lemon zest on top. And my stovetop is acting weird on me today, but you know, we're gonna get through it.
I'm surprised that you're able to like talk and cook at the same time. If I cook, I'm like, nobody talk to me.
I mean, working in the kitchen, you have to kind of be that way, because if not, you'll hurt somebody. You have to be able to talk to people and communicate. And I mean, when you're in a really good kitchen, most of the people literally are walking with their heads down, and it's like a party that you're like, everybody's doing like this. Everybody's talking. No one's really looking up. Everyone literally is just dancing around each other. Now, when you're in a hectic kitchen, it's a lot of pots being thrown, fights. Trust me, I've seen them all. You had a question?
I was wondering, did you hear about spinach that you have to blanch it in order for the nutrient receptability? So a lot of times we eat raw spinach thinking that we're getting the nutrients.
Raw vegetables are always going to have more nutrients. That's just what it is. Like when they say blanch it, yeah, even spinach, every vegetable is, when it was created to eat it at its raw state. It wasn't created to be cooked down. It's almost like how we do collard greens, right? My mom is like, collard greens take you 2 days to just slow cook it. You got to do this, and it's like, actually, only takes about an hour for you to cook. Now, with spinach has so many natural nutrients in there when you just eat it by itself without cooking it, that if you cook it for too long, because if you realize that when you saute it, all that water just goes out of it within seconds. It's like completely gone. That's telling you right there, it's taken away from everything that's good about it. It's literally being cooked away. So if you can always, like even when it comes to kale, I think I've done it here before. I did that kale salad where I just put like a citrus dressing on top, and I just use my hand to break it down, but I didn't add any heat to it. Anytime you add heat to vegetables, it just takes all the nutrition to it. They're supposed to be eaten raw. That's the whole point of them. And when people say stuff like that, you just gotta just, like, what book did you read that in? Okay, we're gonna get this. Okay, I think we're doing good on these. I don't know about you guys, whenever I do any kind of mash, I always like it to kind of like have some sort of chunky pieces to it. I've done this mash before for this one party where I did black truffle inside, because if you don't know me, you know the truffle is my thing, like my baby. And I've done a mashed sweet potato, and I've actually shaved fresh truffles inside of it. That's a little secret. I'm just saying, put truffles on anything is good. One day I hope I can have a truffle farm and I can just bask in the garden and just eat truffle all day. Not have to worry about anything.
How do you get that musky, I mean, I guess that's what people like about truffle is that kind of.
That musty, that real deep kind of depth taste
how
to
do
it.
you get it out the sweet potato, or does it just go together?
It just works. And see, truffle's one of those things where I'm telling you that it works on everything, but it doesn't. It just doesn't, because it depends on your palate. It's almost like how some people, they can eat cilantro and have different experiences with cilantro. Some people can't eat it because they're like, it's too bitter, or it tastes almost like dirty, or it just messes people up. It just depends on your taste buds. So for me, I'm truffling everything to see if it works, and everything works for me. I don't know why, so I'm saying try the recipe. It might work, it might not, but it works for me. Truffle really, really worked for me on everything.
Where does it come from?
The truffle?
Yeah,
It's a mushroom, and normally the best ones you can get are either going to be from Italy or Spain. Those are the best ones. I mean, Amazon has some good quality products that you can buy, and that they're not super expensive. But if you want to get some real good truffle or some really good truffle oil, just be ready to spend some money, and it's going to be worth it. You're going to want to do that because it's going to elevate your truffle senses to a whole nother level.
Oh, you're killing me.
Okay, so we got our mash done. I'm going to go ahead and drain these real quick, and then we'll add a little bit of butter and coconut milk. And now with the butter, that's an option that you have. You don't have to add it to it. I just think that, everything should have just a little bit of butter inside of it. A little bit of butter ain't never hurt nobody. You know what I mean? It's there for a reason. And like I said, you have to really, really eye whenever you add whenever you add the liquid to the, you have to eye the amount of liquid that you're adding into the mash, because sometimes you don't want to overly pour in there, because then you're going to get a soupy kind of mash, and I know you don't want any of that. So like I said, you just add a little bit of salt to it, a little bit of nutmeg, not too much, just a little bit. This is another cool way of you kind of like taking a holiday dish and kind of doing something different to it. It's like going to my house. My mom makes the same meal every year, and all of me and my siblings, we have to add new stuff to it. And like holidays, especially for families that, food was like one of the things that we passed down, those traditions. Having that kind of food, like my mom, the reason why she cooks that is because she has a story on every dish. And it's something that kind of brings back, family members that are not here anymore. It brings back all those traditions that she grew up with. So we stopped complaining about it because we understand why she does it. Like it's a deep, intimate moment for her, for the, to be able to share those dishes with us. Now, my sisters, they claim they don't know how to cook. I kind of believe it. I kind of believe it. And I tell my mom every year, I'm like, you got to start writing a cookbook because, I'm going to be the only ones that knows all your recipes, because your daughters, they don't want to do nothing. Like, I just don't understand. I'm like, come on, y'all. Like, y'all don't want to learn how to cook nothing. And the stuff that they do cook is like, I got one sister that she likes garlic on everything. I'm like, garlic is not flavorful. It's not. You got to learn how to build up flavor. You got to, don't be scared of it. So if you look at the mash, it's not like super milky, and it's not super smooth. It's like perfect consistency. And I think it needs a little bit more nutmeg inside of it. And I'll say this, sweet potato mash with gravy on top is really, 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 really good. Like the turkey gravy on top of this, it's one of those things you gotta just elevate your taste buds by trying different stuff. I know it may sound kind of like, what is that? But it's a game changer. Okay, I'm gonna set that aside, and I'm gonna get started on my green beans and cooking those. So as you see, I'm gonna kind of tilt this as much as I can. The cranberries are kind of breaking down a little bit, and that's kind of like how you want them to do. So that when you blend them, you're gonna see what I'm talking about, how they kind of turn like into gelatin a little bit. I actually think those are ready to go, honestly. Blend that up. So while that is doing its thing, I'm gonna turn this on. So what are some of you guys' favorite holiday dishes that you guys like to cook? say?
Oh, Filipino food, but I don't know if it's like specific to Thanksgiving.
No.
Any big party.
I want to say, because you know, like in California,
Yeah.
our Thanksgiving food is not normal. It's like we do everything here. Like you'll come to my house and you'll find gumbo, you'll find fried rice, you'll find everything at my house because it's like, you know, in California, we get to taste so many different foods. And when we used to go to my aunt's house in San Jose, she used to go get some lupia from this place. Man.
Why?
I don't even remember it. I just know it was in South San Jose off of, God, was that Santa Teresa Road, I think, or something like that? It was a bomb. Like, this was like 15 years ago.
Okay.
It was a long time ago. I ain't that old, but you know, it was 15 years ago. So what I like to do with this, some people like to leave it like chunky with the cranberries, but I like to blend it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a hand blender. You can put this into either your Roku or your food processor, and it'll do the same thing and kind of just blend up get the cranberries out of there. I mean, make the cranberries more smooth. Okay. Damn. See that? That's what happens in the kitchen. You get burned a little bit. Okay, this is hot as hell, so. That's the creaminess that you got right there. And let me go ahead and put my oil on my pan for my green beans. And like I said, you're gonna see when I cook off these green beans, I'm gonna cook them really, really fast. And one thing that you want to do whenever you saute any kind of vegetable is put your oil in your pan once your pan is hot. Don't ever put it in there before. Just because all these different metals that we have and all these different things, you just don't know what the oil and the metal is going to do if it gets too hot. And most oils have a smoking point where it becomes dangerous. Olive oil, I think, is like at 350 or 375. Things like peanut oil, corn oil is like at 440, 450. That's at the point to where it'll start a fire if it gets too hot. And I've experienced that, so you know, give y'all advice, don't do it. So what I'll do is I'll add a little bit of our lemon pepper seasoning to it. Best way to saute anything, I always say, make sure you get you some really nice non-stick pans, and don't ever put them in the dishwasher. Hand wash them. Even when you get good knives, hand wash them. Don't ever put them in the dishwasher. There's something about the heat of the dishwasher and the sanitizer that they put in there that breaks down all of the coating. It just makes your knives really dull. And this hand action is really easy. It's not too difficult. You can't be scared of it. I remember when I was in LA working at a restaurant. I don't think I told you this story before, but I was cooking in a cast iron pan, and the person before me had put too much oil in the pan. So I'm doing this motion right here. I kind of tilt the pan a little bit, and all the oil falls on my hand. That was a moment that I knew I was a man. Because I survived it. Because I literally put my hand in a Ziploc bag, taped it up. I put butter on there, mustard. None of that stuff works. None of it works. Put my hand in an ice Ziploc bag, one hand behind my back, and I cooked for like an hour straight. Still on the line. I got out and I clocked out. I was sitting down, I was all like, all the pain just hit me all at once. I called my mama, of course. With a scream like, Mama, she's like, boy, if you don't get yourself to the hospital. I ended up having to take 2 months off of work because it was bad. I didn't have to get a skin graft, thank God. It healed up really well. And, you know, that was some years ago, but you know, it healed up really well. So like I said, if you look at me putting that into a hot pan, it didn't take too long to cook, and it has like, you know, it's still green. It's not brown. When the vegetables start looking brown, that's a problem. It means it has no kind of nutrients to it. And I'm gonna take our mash. We should have one of those little mirrors that you guys can see me plating it. I do not want to use this in this pot. Remember, whenever you have a non-stick pot, use wood.
No, I mean, like,
Thank you. So what I'm going to do, whenever you're plating, if you don't want to be fancy and you have the time to, always start in the middle and build your way out. That's the way the chefs do it. And whenever you're doing a mash, it's like you take it like that and you go like this with it. Now if your mash droops off, it might be a little too, you know, you put a little bit too much liquid inside of it. And then I'm going to take my air fried turkey, hoping that it's done. Yours is done. I just hope this one is done. And we're going to put that right on top. And if you look at that. Put that right on top. Yeah, it looks like it's done. Then I'm going to take cranberry sauce. I'm going to put that right. So like whenever you're plating the sauce on the dish, I could have did something fancy and put it around the thing and did all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to do this with it. I'm going to pour it. I'm going to take it right on the middle. You kind of want to almost like use either a bowl or the pot as like the catcher. And you just take it like that. And you literally have to, it's all on the wrist. Flip the wrist. And you kind of just let it just droop. You never want to just pour it on there. You want it to kind of droop over. And there is a easy Thanksgiving meal that I did in, 30 minutes? I want to thank you guys. This is our fifth or sixth one, I think, that I've done with you guys. And like I always ended, I appreciate you guys for being teachers and dealing with these kids. And teaching them and giving them the best that you got. And because you guys are raising up the future. And we need more teachers and more people that invest in the kids. So I appreciate you guys. I know the Warriors and Generation Thrive appreciate you guys. And all of you guys have a really good holiday. And don't watch the news as much. Just breathe. It's going to be okay. It's going to work itself out in another way. Huh? Oh. I don't care what city you live in. Make sure you go out there and vote. It is really, really important to go out there and vote. Find a candidate that you connect with, not somebody that talks smooth and talks like they're trying to buy you a drink and take you home. Talk to somebody vote for somebody that's going to be honest with you about where they see the future going, and that they're not scared to come against ignorance, because we have a lot of ignorance in the world right now. I mean, just stupid people, and we have to find politicians and leaders that are not afraid to talk against that. And say when wrong is wrong, it's wrong, and they're able to fight for us. If whoever you're voting for is not willing to fight for us, we can sue and get them out. I just want to tell y'all. I just want to tell y'all that if we don't like the mayor or people we put in office, we as a community can get rid of them if we don't like them. Remember that. Thank you guys, and enjoy the food. I'm going to set it up for you guys when you're ready to eat. Thank you.